Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are tearing into the chilling, century-old legend of the Blackwood Mansion. We're going to be looking at a completely fascinating source narrative that takes your classic, run-of-the-mill ghost story and just completely turns it on its head. We'll dig into the evidence, the timeline, and the downright terrifying mechanics of a house that didn't just haunt people, it literally consumed them.
So let's jump right into this core premise. What if a haunted house wasn't haunted by ghosts, but by a physical, gnawing hunger? Imagine a supposedly abandoned house sitting up on a foggy hill, surrounded by nothing but dead trees. The source text describes its broken windows like empty eyes, just staring down at anyone who dared to even step foot near the property. Locals actually called it the haunted house nobody returned from. It's a seriously striking visual, right? And it perfectly sets the stage for a completely different kind of paranormal mystery, totally subverting everything we usually expect from these kinds of stories.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, The Legend of Jonathan Graves. To really understand what's going on, we have to look at the timeline. Back in the day, Jonathan Graves was this wealthy, highly respected guy living in the mansion with his wife and daughter. Well, one stormy night, a strange, echoing scream rips across the hill. The very next morning, the villagers find the mansion completely empty. No signs of a struggle, zero footprints, just gone. And that was literally just the beginning. After the Graves family vanished, a few passing travelers disappeared. Then an entire group of hunters went missing. Eventually, a police officer went up there to investigate and was never seen again. After that, the mansion became a strict no-go zone. Nobody in town went near it after sunset.
Which brings us to Section 2. Enter Ethan Carter.
Picture Ethan. He's this 24-year-old journalist who actually made a name for himself exposing fake ghost stories and solving hoaxes. His worldview is completely grounded in logic. To him, ghosts absolutely do not exist. But when he gets to town and kind of laughs off the local legend, this pale-faced old man outside a shop gives him a dead serious warning. He says, "Many said the same thing, none came back." It's this perfect, tense clash between modern, arrogant logic and deeply rooted local terror. You know that classic setup where you just know human hubris is about to get a reality check.
So, sticking strictly to his logic, Ethan preps for his overnight stay. He doesn't pack holy water or sage, he packs survival gear. A flashlight, camera, audio recorder, extra batteries, some food, and a sleeping bag. He is bringing the tools of an investigative journalist, plain and simple. He marches up that hill right before sunset, while the townspeople just silently watch and pray, utterly convinced they are watching a dead man walking.
And that leads right into Section 3. The house changes shape. The investigation kicks into high gear the second Ethan arrives. First of all, the heavy iron gates out front actually creak open all by themselves. The front door groans as he steps into the space that just reeks of rot and is covered in cobwebs. He flips on his camera, confidently says day one, but immediately spots something super messed up. In the living room, all the old furniture is covered in white sheets, but there are these family portraits on the walls, and every single face in those paintings has their eyes violently scratched out. It's a deeply unsettling detail, but you know, Ethan pushes forward anyway. Now, that ironclad skepticism of his, it starts cracking right at midnight. He's literally just eating a sandwich when he hears these slow, heavy footsteps thudding upstairs. He grabs his flashlight, creeps up the stairs, and the hallway is totally empty. But then, bang, a massive, heavy door violently slams shut right behind him. Keep in mind, there are no open windows, there is no wind, there's zero logical reason for that to happen. The house is waking up. Ethan spins around, trying his hardest to rationalize this as hallucination, which, honestly, is a pretty common psychological defense when your brain hits a wall with the impossible. Standing way down at the far end of the corridor is a small girl in a white dress, long black hair covering her face. As he takes a step toward her, the temperature just plummets. He gets a few feet away, and she slowly raises her head. Her eyes are completely black, no whites, just void. Then she vanishes into thin air. Ethan drops his flashlight, and honestly, who can blame him? The fear is undeniable now. He nopes right out of there, bolting downstairs to the main hall, only to be met with something even worse. Remember those portraits from earlier? Well, the scratched out eyes were gone. The faces in those paintings are now completely whole, and their eyes are actively following his every single movement. The logic he brought into this place? Yeah, it's completely useless here. Full-blown panic sets in. He makes a break for the front door, yanks it open, but it doesn't lead outside anymore. It leads deeper into the mansion. The architecture itself is looping, twisting his reality. He runs into a bedroom, opens a door that somehow connects to a basement, runs up some stairs into a library, and inexplicably pops right back out into that very same bedroom. The house is alive. It's playing with its food, completely tossing the laws of physics out the window.
Let's move to Section 4, the dark mirror.
Completely disoriented, Ethan starts hearing these soft whispers of his own name, and those whispers quickly escalate into horrific screams that essentially force him down into this massive, hidden room. The data he uncovers in here is staggering. He finds thousands of names carved obsessively into the wooden walls, and those names correlate perfectly with hundreds of living, screaming faces imprisoned inside an enormous mirror made of what looks like liquid darkness. The missing hunters, the police officer, their names are carved right there in the wood, and their actual faces are actively pressing against the dark glass. They aren't dead folks, they are eternally trapped.
The tension reaches an absolute breaking point when, out of nowhere, a pale, physical hand bursts right out of the dark glass and clamps down on Ethan's wrist. He screams, yanking his arm back with everything he's got. The sheer force of him pulling away completely shatters the giant mirror, and the entire room is instantly plunged into pitch-black darkness.
Now for Section 5, Destroying the Heart. When the darkness finally clears, Ethan finds himself magically dumped back into the silent main hall. But he's not alone. Standing there is a tall, unnatural figure with pale skin and faintly glowing red eyes. It's the ghost of Jonathan Graves himself. Through a sudden vision, Ethan finally gets the true lore of what happened here. He sees the botched ritual. Jonathan had drawn these ancient symbols on the basement floor, lighting black flame candles to summon a dark creature, all because he wanted immortality. The price? His own family. Jonathan sacrificed them, but the ritual totally backfired. It cursed the property, trapping everyone between worlds, and actually mutated the house itself into a hungry, living entity that constantly needs to feed on human souls.
The ghost of Graves, looking broken and absolutely full of regret, gives Ethan the one and only way to stop this madness. He tells him, "Destroy the heart, the house hides it." And I mean, the split second those words leave his mouth, the floor violently shakes, the walls crack open, the mansion heard them, and it is livid. It throws a literal frenzy of flying furniture and crawling shadow monsters at Ethan to stop him from getting down to that basement.
But Ethan fights his way through the shifting hallways, finally bursting into the basement. Right in the dead center of the room, he spots it. This giant, horrific black mass, pulsing with thick, dark veins spreading all across the walls. It's beating with this deafening thump, thump, thump. Every single monstrous heartbeat shakes the very foundation of the room. As he inches closer to the mass, the whispers start up again. But they're different now. They aren't screaming in terror. They are begging him, "Help us, free us." Driven by the pleas of these trapped souls, Ethan spots an old, heavy axe leaning against the wall. He grabs it, grips it tight, and raises it high over the screeching, unnatural heart of the house. He swings down hard. Crack! Black, tar-like liquid bursts from the wound. The entire house trembles and shrieks in agony, but Ethan does not hesitate. He just goes to town on it, striking again and again until the heart splits completely in two. In an instant, a blinding, intense white light explodes outward, shattering the walls and completely vaporizing the darkness.
Finally, let's look at Section 6, the aftermath and legacy.
When Ethan finally dares to open his eyes, the morning sun is shining and the evil mansion is literally collapsing into dust and ruins right in front of him. 1. That is the exact number of people to ever walk into the Blackwood mansion and actually walk out. Just Ethan. As the rubble settled, he watched hundreds of glowing spirits, including Jonathan Graves and his family, float up from the ruins, finally rising peacefully into the sky, free at last.
Ethan went back to town, and you guessed it, the disappearances stopped for good. He even turned his ordeal into a massive best-selling book, but he was forever changed by what he saw. Which leaves us with this pretty wild, provocative thought. If the house fed on a physical hunger rather than just being haunted by ghosts, what truly separates the survivor from becoming just another name carved into the wall? For Ethan, he knows the terrifying reality. He wasn't saved by magic, and he didn't outsmart the house. He was saved by mere seconds. If he had been just 1 minute slower with that axe, he would have been swallowed by that dark glass forever. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly intense narrative. I hope it changes the way you look at the creaking doors in your own home tonight. Keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next explainer.